All right, I'll go ahead and get started today. Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Jarvis, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one consulting services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Building Your Cybersecurity Policies, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. We are recording today's presentation. It will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted today, but if you have any questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenters for today's session. Quiana Gainey is a 20-plus year IT and cybersecurity industry veteran and has served as Chief Executive Officer for SecureTech 360 located in Springfield, Virginia, since its inception in 2010. Ms. Gainey is also the Cyber Industry Specialist for the Virginia SBDC. William McBrough is co-founder and Chief Security Officer at Posture, Inc., an innovative cybersecurity risk management company using artificial intelligence and cloud-based solutions to help small businesses simplify and manage cybersecurity programs. And now it is my pleasure to turn it over to our presenters for today. Quiana.
Thank you, Amanda, and welcome everyone to today's session. Today we will talk about one of my favorite topics, which is developing security policies. Our hope is that you can take away some nuggets today. We're going to give you a few resources and also have William present one of many tools that are available to you complimentary as a Virginia SBDC client. It is a wonderful tool called Posture. But as you are thinking about your developing a culture that it's for cybersecurity within your organization, there are some basic security practices that you need to put together. And one is putting together a viable security policies. Those policies should be everything from requiring strong passwords, establishing appropriate internet use guidelines for your employees, detailing any penalties or anything they violate company cybersecurity policies, establish rules of behavior, describe how to handle and protect your customers' information and other vital data. And you can also create policies for how to keep your machines clean, having great cyber hygiene practices, doing everything from making sure that you have the latest security software updates, making sure you are deploying the best defenses against viruses, antivirus software, making sure it's up to date. Developing policies on how often you do that is crucial. And then also making sure that you have policies in place about backing up your data. Regularly backing up your data is crucial. It includes backing up any vital things that you will need to keep your business successful. So anything from word processing documents to electronic spreadsheets to database, any of your human resources files, making sure that those backups in the place at least weekly and storing those copies either on site or in the cloud. And then also we can't forget about our physical access. Creating policies for physical access will prevent access to the use of business computers by unauthorized individuals. Also, we have to keep in mind about our laptops. We have a lot of mobile devices that we use, laptops, phones, and they can also become easy targets for theft and can be lost. So making sure you have some things in place. And then also one of my favorites is administrative privileges. Putting a policy in place to state what personnel will be your key personnel that will have access to certain functions or certain operating systems because they need to perform their jobs. Making sure that you have limit access or to anyone that shouldn't be doing those type of updates to your systems are also very crucial. So today we're going to have a demo where we're going to show you, like I said in the beginning, a wonderful tool, many tools that we have at your that are available to you via the SBDC, which is Posture. If you go to our website, we also have a plethora of other resources. You can also always schedule a one-on-one if you have specific needs about your business that you want to talk and discuss with me. I'm here, I'm a resource to you. So we're going to get started. I'm going to send it over to William, and he will show you a demo of posture.
Quiana, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen and move things around. Can you all see my screen? Okay, Quiana?
Yes.
So, again, my name is William McBrower. I'm the Chief Security Officer and co-founder at Posture. Being a cybersecurity professional for over 20 years, working primarily in sort of the small business community that supports, both federal, state, and local government agencies. One of the things that we always find is that, having a security policy for your organization is a common security requirement. It is a best practice, right? You need to ensure that there are guidelines and procedures in place for your employees to follow, right? But what we typically find is that within a lot of compliance frameworks, be it regulatory frameworks as well as industry frameworks, having a security policy for your organization is a common security requirement. And one of the things that we find is that, there are policy mills out there where you can buy a set of policies of, the internet, put your logo on it, sign it, and, check that box and put it on the shelf. As security professionals, we know for a fact that doesn't really do you any good, right? So part of what we're trying to do with Posture as an organization, and part of why we've partnered with SBDCs around the country, is to ensure that we are working side by side with the cybersecurity advisors like Quiana to really provide you access to resources to do all the things that she's telling you need to do, right? And one of the things that we found is that the more we do these sessions together, what you're going to see when I walk you through the platform and walk you through our policy development process and our policy, resources, is that a lot of the things that she just touched on are covered, because these are tried and true best practices. One of the things that she said when she mentioned the need to have a security policy for your organization, she didn't say you need to have a security policy. She said you need to have a viable security policy, a security policy that is actually actionable, right? That matches your organization. And that's part of what we try to do with you here in Posture. So as an overview, Posture is a platform that you get access to through the Virginia SBDC that allows you to build your security program over time. The last time we were all together and we did these sessions, we sort of walked you through the Posture playbook to really build your security program with the most basic, essential best practices. Most of the things that Quiana just touched on. Having a security rules for your organization, having policies, procedures, guidelines, right? Ensuring that your security, ensuring that your employees, which are not only your first line of defense, they're also your last line of defense, are properly trained on your policies, but they're also made aware of common security threats, common vulnerabilities, and best practices. Ensuring that you are protecting your data, right? Your business sensitive information, your client information, be it protected health information or financial information or personal identifiable information. There are processes that are required there. Ensuring that you are protecting the devices that are used to conduct your business, be it a company issued device, a laptop, a mobile phone, desktop, a server, or a personally owned device that is used to conduct business. So within the playbook, we walk you through tasks that are associated with accomplishing all of these best practices. We provide you access to resources to sort of do those tasks. Now, This particular workshop is really focused on how do you then put a policy in place for your organization that speaks on these basic best practices. Within the platform, we give you a policy generator. And what this policy generator does, it creates a policy for you based on the posture playbook. So I'm going to just walk through the process right now of creating this policy. So I'm creating this policy for test company. All right. Address 123 test street. And I'm going through this process just to show you how easy it is to create a policy for your organization. And then we're going to walk through what that policy is, right? So we're going to actually hire the best in the business to be our security officer. All right, hope I spelled that right. Okay. Want to make this a real email address so that I can receive the policy. Okay. Like phone number here. It doesn't like that phone number. I say it looks too fake. Hmm. 202, let's see. There we go. So who is going to approve this policy? Let's say I'm the person in the organization with oversight on security issues. If you're a small organization, it would typically be the CEO, the business manager, the business leader. But we want to ensure that the policies for your organizations are approved by someone who is accountable, right? So when you walk through that short survey, what happens is that a policy is created for you and sent directly to your email. Okay. So let's give my email here some time. So you get this email from the posture system, right? Test company risk management policy ready for review. Get the email as an attachment. So I'm going to pull up this attachment once it opens up in Word on my screen. Now, this is your posture level 1 information security policy approved by myself. This is the date, test company name. And this walks you through all of the fundamentals that you should have in a security policy, right? I'm not going to read it word for word, but this policy defines the responsibility of protecting and maintaining confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your IT systems, manages risk, ensures the security of your IT environment, monitors your systems for indication of compromise, and it promotes security awareness amongst your employees. That's what you want your security policies to do. Authorizing authority here. The scope of this policy is defined. This encompasses all of our systems that we use to conduct business. If we're using personal devices to conduct business, these security rules apply to these devices as well. There's a section here that talks about the organizational security. Whom within the organization is responsible for maintaining the security program. This sample policy is broken up into 2 roles. The first role is leadership within the organization. Leadership is responsible for identifying security responsibilities and goals within the organizations, right? Supporting the consistent implementation of security policies and standards, supporting a clear direction and demonstrating commitment to security with appropriate resources, promoting security awareness within the organization, and communicating those requirements and best practices to all of your employees. Posture helps you do all of those things. But again, within your security policy, you should always have roles and responsibilities outlined. As a leader within your entity, these would be your role, and these would be your responsibility. What are your employees responsible for? Your employees are responsible for adhering to the tenets of your security policy. Typically, when your policy has been completed by you, you want your policies to be distributed to your employees. You want them to be trained on that policy, and you want to have signed acknowledgement statements from them. We provide you sample text here for the leadership role and responsibilities and the employee role and responsibilities. Now we get into the exact policy statements, right? What are the guidelines? What are the requirements? What are the rules and regulations that you expect your employees to follow? One of the things that we talked about in the role and responsibility for leadership is that you should also eat your own dog food, right? You should demonstrate commitment to your security program by following these yourself. So the first section talks about personnel security, right? Security awareness and training. First section talks about new employee security training. You should have a requirement that as new employees and contractors come into your organization, and there's an onboarding process, and they are made aware of your security requirements as well as common security best practices that you expect them to follow, right? All new employees and contractors joining our organization must be provided security training. All new employees and contractors must be provided access to the organizational security policy for review and signature, acknowledgement, receipt, and understanding. That's part of that should be part of your onboarding process. Training your new employees on security policies, on security awareness, and having them sign in acknowledged. Next, continuous security awareness training. It doesn't make sense to bring an employee on, provide them security training, and then you don't have a conversation with them about security of your business for the next year, right? So this policy calls for monthly security awareness activities to help you and your employees stay aware of not just security threats, but also best practices that you want them to follow. So within the Posture platform, we provide ongoing security awareness training videos that you can leverage to keep your security awareness ongoing on a monthly basis. Next is very important. Security training compliance is being able to ensure that your employees are being trained as prescribed by policy. Security policies and onboarding training must be reviewed annually by all employees and contractors. Signed security policy acknowledgements must be collected and maintained in their employee records. On a monthly basis, monthly records must be created and maintained of all security training activities. Records must be monitored to ensure employees successfully complete the required training. Tools like Posture help you automate this process, but as a policy, you want to ensure that your employees are kept continually abreast of cybersecurity because that have significant impacts on your information. So these are the tenets that cover security training. Next, let's talk about data protection. Business information must be protected from accidental and malicious breach. All software and computing devices used to access, process, and store business critical data must be properly configured and maintained. So the first section talks about account management and access control, right? Limit access to all systems. All business IT systems and applications must be protected by user accounts and passwords, right? Unique and individual user accounts must be assigned to each employee or contractor requiring access. What does that mean? No shared accounts, right? A lot of organizations create one account and share it across multiple employees. This is contrary to security best practice, because without uniquely identifying the user, you cannot uniquely trace activities on your systems to be able to determine whom did what action, right? So there is, right. There's a question that Jessica wants to know, where do we as small business owners get up-to-date data information, data security information? There are a couple of ways that you keep up to date, right? The first way that I would recommend is staying engaged with your local small business development center, right? That continuously put out cybersecurity information, as well as has a cybersecurity resource page, as well as has a cybersecurity advisor, right? Here to sort of support you. There are a myriad of places where online that you can get cybersecurity information. And what I would do is I would point you to your local cybersecurity advisor here who can identify those resources for you, because you want to ensure that the information that you are sort of leveraging is relevant to small businesses, right? Security can get complicated. It's easy to dive into the deep end, but there are some good resources out there. Posture is one, right? And SBDC is certainly another resource to get you access to that information. So we talk about the fact that unique passwords and unique account for all of your applications in your systems, right? Number 3, many systems or applications come with default administrative passwords. These should be changed immediately. Password security is important, right? Unique passwords must be established for each user account. Passwords must be at least 12 characters long and include a random sequence of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Passwords must be changed periodically, suggested here every 6 months. These are the basic tenets for maintaining account management and access control. Now, these are your policies, right? You can go in, you can edit, you can make changes, but this gives you a foundation to start with. The next section here talks about strong authentication, right? For business critical systems and applications, multi-factor authentication passwords must be enabled to provide greater protection. Most business systems and applications today have this capability built in. There are also third-party solutions that can help implement this for you. But from a policy perspective, you want to ensure that you're enabling strong authentication. Before I go on, there is another, so that was a chat. So the next tenet talks about data encryption, right? Encryption is used to protect the confidentiality of your business sensitive and critical information. There are regulatory requirements for certain types of information that must be protected. For example, if you work in the healthcare space and you have patient health information, that must be protected. Encryption can be leveraged to do so. As a policy here, all laptops and computers used for business operations must have full disk encryption enabled. If you're using a Windows operating system, if you're using a MacBook, a Mac OS operating system, you have this capability built into your business computers today. As a policy, you want to ensure that you are leveraging these resources that you already have. within the Posture platform, we provide you guidance on each of these tasks, including how to enable the full disk encryption that you all probably already have access to. Next, we talk about data backup and recovery. Okay, all computers used for critical business functions must be backed up at least weekly to ensure using secure cloud data backup services or portable storage devices. Again, backing up your business critical information is essential to protecting your organizations from cyber threats, including ransomware, right? Including ransomware. So as a policy for your organizations, you want to ensure that all your computing devices that are used for critical business functions at least must be backed up using either a secure cloud backup or a portable data solution. So one of the things that you will see that as we walk through these policies align with the Posture playbook, and they're, again, simple, easy to understand language that is actually actionable for your small business. So next, let's talk about system protection, right? Software applications, computing, and networking devices are used to store, process, and transmit your business data. These must be securely configured and maintained in order to protect your organization from data loss and cyber breaches. First, we look at software updates, right? One, when purchasing new computers, software updates and patches must be installed immediately before use. Do you know the average time it takes when a computer gets connected to the internet before it is attacked? I'm also a college professor, so this is where I would expect an answer in the class. But I will answer that, right? Mere seconds. When you connect your business device or any device to the internet, it takes seconds for it to be scanned and probed and attacked. Policy: when purchasing new computers, software updates and patches must be installed immediately before use. When installing and downloading new software, security updates and patches must be installed immediately before use. All computers and software applications must be configured to automatically check for and download security updates. Okay, updates must be installed immediately upon notification. Now, as an organization, you can sort of tweak these, right, to meet your security needs. If you have access to a security advisor, have a conversation about, hey, how can I make this better for me? How can I make this workable for me? Right? You want your policy to actually be workable. Having policies that are unattainable doesn't help anyone, right? So you want to ensure that they're modified in a way that you as an organization can sustain. Now, this section talked about software updates. Software updates, including security fixes and patches, are used to protect your systems from cyber attacks and data breaches. Most successful security breaches occur because of exploitation of systems, exploiting vulnerabilities that fixes for these vulnerabilities already exist. The systems just were not patched and properly maintained, but cyber criminals are exploiting vulnerabilities and flaws in systems for which we already have solutions to. That's why as a policy, you want to ensure that you are maintaining updated systems. System monitoring. Install software to check for security and missing software updates. Most computers and business applications must be checked for missing patches at least monthly. Okay, so when we talk about maintaining your system, your business system, we're not just talking about the operating system itself, right? The Windows computers. We're also talking about all the software right, that we install, all the business applications that we install, all of these are also continuously updated by the vendors. And oftentimes, those updates are provided as a result of them having discovered a security flaw in their product, right? So software must be installed to scan business computers for missing security patches, updates, and other weaknesses that are used for business functions. Okay. Before I move on, there are another questions. All right, brief question. Are cloud backups truly confidential? There are, as with all things, there are a wide variety of options out there, right? There are some reputable companies, and then there are others that are not so much. Whenever you select a cloud vendor, be it a cloud backups solution or any cloud-based product, look at their security configurations, look at their security features. Oftentimes they make this readily available for you, right? I use many cloud systems, right? For my organization as a security company, but I have standards of security that must be met before I select a vendor, right? So yes, there are cloud backup solutions out there. There are secure cloud backup solutions that allow you to implement multi-factor authentication and encrypt all of your data that is transmitted to the cloud and is stored in the cloud. Now, all right, so Sylvia has a question around, backing up data that is already in the cloud, right? Again, a lot of us use either the Microsoft 365, productivity suite, all the Google, what do they call it? Workspace? The name changes every few months. That data is stored in the cloud, and there's redundancy built in that infrastructure, right? So whenever you employ security solution, you have to sort of weigh, right, the risk versus the cost and the level of effort, right? Because there's always more security. There's always more security you can do, right? But from a risk perspective, if your data is stored in, say, OneDrive, I don't really see the need for you to have another backup solution to sort of back up that data to another cloud solution. There's other things you can do with that money to improve your security, if that helps. Part of what I do and my role with my company is as a risk advisor to our clients, right? Similar to how Quiana is a risk advisor to the SBDC clients, right? So what we do is we help our clients make business decisions, right, about their cybersecurity, right? Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your money, right? So next, I want to talk briefly about, lastly, about malicious software protecting. You want to ensure that you have anti-malware software installed on all of your computers. Antivirus and spyware software must be installed and enabled on all computers used for a business function. This protected software must be configured to automatically download updates and scan the entire device at least weekly. Real-time system monitoring must be enabled, right? You have your systems today. If you're running a Windows operating system, Microsoft has made the Microsoft Defender antivirus system freely available to you. That should be leveraged. There are a lot of good endpoint protection solutions out there that you can enable, but you need to ensure that you have security endpoint protection on all devices used for a business function. There's a compliance statement. There's a key terms revisions tracking, as well as signature, where your employee, once this is finalized, will sign and date, and you will maintain on file. Again, actionable policies that every small business, even a small business of one, can follow to ensure that they have foundational security in place. This policy was generated using the Posture platform, and it aligns with the Posture playbook that walks you through implementing all of these tasks. So for any questions about this, you can follow up with myself, you can follow up with Quiana, and with that, I will turn it over to you, Quiana, and we can answer any questions that are available.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, William. That was truly amazing. I hope that everyone that joined the call today left with at least enough information to start the conversation, right? As William stated, that when you're developing security policies, it should be based on your specific organization business needs. And then you should also weigh out the cost versus the cost benefit analysis. What would be the most appropriate measure for you to take as for your organization? But it should definitely be a part of your day-to-day business requirements. Just like you put together a business plan for your business, look at your security policies as an important tool that you can use in your organization to make sure that you're protecting your data, any customers' data that you are also responsible for, making sure that and I know as a small business owner, it may seem like, oh, this is just another thing to do, but it really is just as important as anything else, any other vital or critical function within your business. So we hope that you take advantage of this wonderful resource and all of the resources that are available to you from the Virginia SBDC. Our website has a lot of great information, tools, links. There's always some different training and webinars. So if you feel like you're getting stuck or you need that 101, we also have myself available to you as a resource to help you just even to have the conversations. But sometimes you just bounce it off of someone else to hear it out loud to say, does this make sense? That also, we're there to help you with that. So you can always schedule a one-on-one. The links are there. You can always email me. I have some clients that email me directly. They just may have a question about a product or a service, just so that they can just have those warm and fuzzies about making the best business decision for your business. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions.
Great, thank you both. Everyone, if you have any questions, please be sure to put those in the Q&A box. So the first one is, so would workspace be higher on the confidential side? I think this might be a follow-up to the cloud question, maybe.
Yes, so are you talking about Google Workspace or?
Let's see if we get a follow-up here.
I think the following was how much is Posture? So Posture is actually complementary to our Virginia SBDC clients. There are some additional features in there that have a cost associated, but again, it's one of those things where you can weigh out the cost benefit for your organization and see what other additional services, but at least between the playbook and the features that's within the tool, it would at least help you create a level of, will help you even create some type of cybersecurity program for your organization. And then based on what your organizational needs are and your budget, because everything I understand with a small business owner, it all comes down to cost. Those are business decisions that you can look at and make sure that this is something that you can implement. And like William even stated in the presentation, a lot of tools you have at your disposal within the operating systems that you currently have. In addition to, if you do take on, like if you use Google Workspace or you use any of the other cloud providers or services, making sure you understand those technologies is also a great asset for you as well. So don't just put things in your organization that you haven't done your research on. And then we're here to help. If you have any questions about some of those things as you're starting to scale or even trying to deploy different mechanisms within your organization. And then for the Google Workspace question, should Workspace be higher on the confidential side? It depends on what type of data you're using. It depends on what type of data you're storing. Again, these are things that you just have to kind of look at, because you know, as a business owner, what your requirements are. You know exactly what you're protecting. It's no different than I use the analogy about a house, right? When you're selecting your house, you know exactly what's inside of that house and how valuable the items are within that house. So depending on what your level of comfort is, you may have to decide what type of lock you need for the door, what type of, if you need to have a dog or a gate, or if you need to make sure that there's other things that are in place. So those are things that you can make a decision as a business owner based on your budget and based on your organizational needs.
And again, if I can add to that briefly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Also, depending on the industry that you're in, right? There
Yes.
are regulatory requirements for, the protection of data. Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're in a healthcare industry, if you're a government contractor, if you're in any industry that is storing information about children, etc., right?
Yes.
There are requirements on how you store and protect that data. So whether or not you meet these requirements have implications on where you can store your data, right? Mm-hmm. But for solutions like Google Workspace or Microsoft 365, mm-hmm. those vendors give you a lot of security functionality that is up to you to securely leverage and configure appropriately, right? So being able to sort of implement all of the security features in Workspace of 365, etc., is absolutely crucial. But the reality is 90% of small businesses are using these cloud-based tools, mm-hmm. right? So it can be done securely, either using the tools themselves or using third-party add-ons to increase the security.
Wonderful. Thank you, William.
Great, thank you. If you all have any more questions, we have a few more minutes. Go ahead and put those in the Q&A. In the meantime, I just want to let you know I launched a webinar evaluation. If you could take a moment to go ahead and fill that out. Your feedback is really appreciated and it helps us improve our sessions. I don't see any other questions, but I also wanted to note that in the chat here, I put a few links for everybody. We have a link to our upcoming future webinars or past webinar recordings. There's also some more resources on there to build your cybersecurity policies if you want to look at the fcc.gov. There's a link there. We also have a link if you want to go into the posture platform. There's a link there for to go to that. And then for more resources on cybersecurity in general, just in topics in addition to what we talked about today, you can also check out virginiasbdc.org on our cybersecurity program page there. And then, of course, you can always schedule a one-on-one free advising session with Quiana. Just click the Calendly link and sign up, and you can meet with her for a 30-minute confidential session. So I have one more question. So like I said, if anyone else has any more questions, we have a couple minutes. This person says they think they might need help selecting and implementing the correct cloud service.
Awesome. So if you, she shared the link for the one-on-one meeting. If you feel more comfortable, we can discuss offline and kind of look under the hood and see what your business requirements are and come up with a plan.
Great, thank you. I don't see any other questions. Do either of you have anything else to add today, William or Quiana?
No, this was a wonderful session. Thanks again, William. Thank you guys for being a wonderful audience. Just your attendance today, showing up for you and your business, wanting to improve your cybersecurity is half the battle. Implementing those policies, making sure they're up to date, making sure your employees are trained on said policies, making sure that things are just in place is just a true testament to being a wonderful business owner And also, even with all the things that we have to do as small business owners, the fact that you took time out today to come and to learn more says great things about you. So kudos to you. You're on the right track. If there's any things that we can do for you at Virginia SBDC, we're here to help. Thank you.
Thanks.
She said it all.
All right, great. Well, thank you both. I just want to let everybody know you're going to receive an email with a link to the recording from today and to the slides. We'll also include some of those links that I shared in the chat for you. And like I mentioned before, if you want to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, you can visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and all other SBDC resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. Thank you all so much for attending today, and I hope to see you all at the next session.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.